So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means so many new reasons to rack.
Because I always find something amazing.
Just so many good brands.
Because there's always something new.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
War Eagle, and welcome to another edition of Ever the Podcast. This is a show where we get together with you to catch you up on the latest Auburn news, topics, discussion pieces, things that you need to be aware of as an Auburn family member when you're out discussing, sharing, just getting around the water cooler, talking about all things Auburn, the Auburn experience, as we call it, Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family. The easier way to say it, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us on episode 90 of Ever the Podcast. Today's date is March 6, 2025. And as always, plenty to get to throughout all of the news in Auburn athletics and much more. And we'll catch you up as well on what you need to be aware of for the upcoming weekend, especially with the Auburn sports space. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. We'll start off as we usually do with if there's any Auburn in the pros news out there you know about the NFL Combine.
Score more with the college-branded Venmo debit card and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash. Got paid back? With the Venmo debit card, you can instantly access your balance and spend on what you want, like game day snacks, gear, tickets, and more. The more you do, the more cash back you can earn. Plus, there's no monthly fee or minimum balance. Sign up now at Venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like thinking your crush messaged you back, but it's just your roommate asking for rent. You wouldn't settle for a disappointing DM, so don't settle for just any insurance. When it comes to getting the help you need, State Farm is a real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We talked about that, I think, last week with the 6 participants that were there. I think they all had pretty good showings, but one in particular got a shout out from Auburn football this week with how he did in the bench press reps. 31 bench press reps, which is third most among offensive linemen at the Combine, and that's Connor Lew. That shouldn't shock you. Connor Lew is probably one of the better products that's come out of Auburn as of late, offensive line, so that he's that highly rated in that particular area of the Combine, of the performances that they're putting on for scouts. I know it's just one thing, but that's pretty impressive. So just a little bit of a shout out for him and how we expect big things from him in the NFL draft process and in the NFL. Staying within the NFL and Auburn pros group here, this is not necessarily about performance on the field or anything, but just a life update for a former Auburn Tiger, former Auburn quarterback Bo Nix, and his wife Izzy, who is a former Auburn cheerleader as well, have welcomed in their precious little baby girl. You can go find all the information about that on their personal social media accounts. Go check that out. Just want to wish a little congratulations to a special Auburn family. I mean, they are just about as Auburn as you can get. Auburn quarterback, Auburn cheerleader, and obviously Auburn legacy for Bo Nix and his family. Cool little story there, and I think it's a feel-good moment that we can all take in and appreciate. Let's move on from the pros and start talking about some baseball stuff. As always, we're going to have a lot of that this week. We'll start off with SEC Freshman of the Week honors, but it's not just any old Freshman of the Week honor. It's back-to-back honors for Mason McCrane, who really has come on strong over the last couple of weeks here and has just made a name for himself. The McCrane brothers in general, but Mason McCrane, back-to-back SEC Freshman of the Week honors for him. Congratulations to him. As we entered the week, there were updates in the rankings, and Auburn is still a consensus top 7 across the major, about 5 rankings that are out there in college baseball. And one of them, I believe, Baseball American, they moved down from 5 to 6, and then another one they moved, I think that's a Perfect Game, moved up from 7 to 6. So you lost one, you gained one, you're still a consensus 7, still highly thought of one of the best teams in college baseball. It's based off performance, but in how people think about you, at least those rankings. So another top 7 consensus week for Auburn baseball. They followed that rankings or those rankings up with a win versus Sanford at home in a midweek game. Always big to get those against the regional teams, and Sanford's one of those teams that can pop off and get you every once in a while, so you got to be careful with them. Also, the running joke tends to be is who is Auburn going to pick up from one of these regional teams, and Sanford is some Sanford players have found their way to Auburn in the not too distant past. So that's always something to think about with that. They win 6-2 in that midweek game. Great performance from Andres Alvarez and what he was able to do, and other performances as well, but that's something that sticks out from that midweek game. We're getting ready for the weekend. The rotation will be exactly the same with Marciano, Sanders, and then Petrovic. No reason to change it up. As much as Coach talked about, they might experiment with that a little bit in the non-conference. It hasn't changed at all because of the performance of those 3 guys doing solid work for the weekend rotation for Auburn baseball. Coming up for the Winthrop series. Before the Winthrop series gets here, though, we've got an update for you on the schedule. Auburn versus UAB game time Tuesday, March 10th, which will be the next midweek game. It will be 6 p.m. No shock there. It's going to be a night game most of the time, but now you know and can plan accordingly, especially if you plan on attending, which you should. It's another one of those good regional teams that you do not need to sleep on in the middle of the week. Jumping over to some tennis news here. Lots of good things there. Another ranking is out, and that's the ITA rankings. It has Auburn women's tennis at number 5. Not shocked there based on their performance and how highly thought of they've been all preseason and throughout the season. How they've just matched those expectations is really nice to see. So a big ranking for them. Keeping that in the same vein for the men's side of thing, they come in at number 19 overall with their particular ranking. One thing I forgot to mention with the women as well, they beat Mississippi Ole Miss 4-0 this week, and so that's another little win added to their resume. Now let's talk a little bit of softball. We kind of mixed it up a little bit. We should have done baseball after softball, but hey, we're making it work at this point. So we got some softball news here. A lot of this is going to be some just rankings of players, which I haven't seen that a whole lot, so that's kind of interesting. So let's start right there with Analia Adams being ranked number 11 overall at first base in the Softball America. So there's Baseball America, there's Softball America, that publication. Number 11 at the first base spot, Analia Adams. Shouldn't shock you there. You've also got Alyssa Hastings, who got an honor there as well as the number 12 shortstop for Softball America. And we'll just keep on going at number 11, 12, and 13. Michaela Walker, the number 13 power rankings for Softball America out of the outfield position. So some honors for them to get started this week as they prepare for the SEC competition that is about to be at hand for them. Finally, I do want to mention this. I found this is a cool little note, and I don't know if it was announced previously or not, but I'm going to still report on it because I think it's really cool. Coach Chris Malveaux, obviously part 1 of the dynamic duo of head coaches that we have, the coaches Malveaux, as I call them. Chris Malveaux will be participating as part of the coaching staff, assisting, I think is the word that they're using, for the 2028 Olympics here in the United States for the United States softball team. That's a pretty cool honor, and that's pretty awesome. Another opportunity for Auburn to showcase itself and be represented on the big stage. Obviously, that's a long way off. We don't know how things will shake out here, but hopefully that'll be an opportunity for him to showcase Auburn a little bit when he is assisting that 2028 Olympics team. We have a lot of track and field news this week. And I know a lot of you aren't big track and field fans, but you need to be aware of this. Let me just give you a full recap based off of what they posted this past week for track and field and what they accomplished at the SEC Indoor Championships. Overall, 3 SEC champions, so golds. There are 11 SEC scorers now in this one meet, 6 SEC medalists, 3 school records, 9 personal bests, 3 facility records, 1 collegiate record, and 1 national record. It was quite the eventful weekend for individuals, yes, but just look at that full list of what the Auburn track and field men's and women's team put together, and that is an incredible feat for them to have as they continue to grow under Coach Leroy Burrell's tutelage and leadership. So some rankings based off of all of this great performance that they're having. The women are ranked for the first time this season at number 19 in their particular rankings, the very long acronym of USTFCCCA. I think I got them all in there. Number 19 cracking that rankings. Congrats to them. The men shouldn't be a shock here. They're performing very well, some of their individuals especially, but they're at number 18 still in the rankings. No movement for them, but they're still in the rankings. It's nice to have both the men and women getting recognized there. So we've got a lot from this past meet and all of the great recognitions that have happened this week because of that SEC Indoor Championship performance for the team, for the individuals to still go here. Let's talk about this. All SEC performances out of that. On the first team, Megan Haig, Jacoby Tharp, Kane Sola Ajayi, Denai Nemhard, Alyssa Quinones-Mixon, and that's the second team. And the third team, Israel Ocon. That's 6 individuals right there, all SEC honors. And you've heard about them a lot this week if you've been paying attention to how Auburn track and field has been doing. They're some of your best performance out of that. And obviously, that's why you get the all SEC honor. And because of that, a lot of those individuals are now not only recognized for what they did at the SEC indoors, but now have gotten invitations, at least some of them, to the indoor NCAA qualify. They're qualified for that to go and compete over there, which I think we sent 4 women and 4 men. And so you can go check out all of them there. You've got Annalise Torian, Cameron Massey, Megan Haig, and Denai Nemhard, as we had talked a little about earlier for the women. For the men, a lot of the names that we've already talked about: Ajayi, Omari Lewis, Israel Cone, and, of course, Jacoby Tharp. One last recognition that we want to mention here, if you've heard us talk about the Bowerman Award, it's basically the Heisman of track and field. And Jacoby Tharp has been very associated with that. In fact, I argued he should have won it last year, but hey, what do I know? But we have another person who is now on the watch list for this because of how he's already performed this season thus far, and that's Ajayi. So 2 guys that are getting Bowerman Award attention. The Heisman of track and field for Auburn is pretty awesome. So make sure you're tuning in to how they're doing this season. Men's basketball news. Obviously a lot better week so far with a win over LSU on senior night, sending out 2 scholarship players, 2 walk-ons, and a bunch of managers as well. They win 88-74, helping themselves stay alive in the hunt for March Madness. So great thing there, and an all-important weekend coming up for them. Just nice to get a win and have something positive to talk about after a rough February. There was also not really a news item, but just a big discussion point this week. I have an article that was written, I believe, by On3, discussing, and quotes from Coach Bruce Pearl, former Coach Bruce Pearl, obviously, having retired, about the idea of nepotism and his son getting the job. And he openly says, nepotism? Yeah, of course I helped my son get the job. It's really interesting how often people, this whole off season, during the season, to now, have focused on this. And to me, it's one of the weakest, I guess you'd say, arguments out there of some type of dissent towards this. Everybody has benefited in some way from either a family member or a friend speaking up for them. I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people, I would say the vast majority of people have benefited in some way from someone going to bat for them. Just because it's your father doing that doesn't mean that that's any less thing like that. And it was just interesting to see so much attention from this article itself, but the conversation around it, it just is not that novel a notion. And I think if you're someone that's somehow on this nepotism train of that somehow it delegitimizes Stephen Pearl, I'd question your viewpoint on a couple other things there. But anyway, that's why we all have opinions. Most of them stink, though. So that was just something that I wanted to bring up because it was very much on top of people's minds this week. We also have women's basketball. And as it looks like at this moment, the season has come to a close. However, a couple things to bring up here. They went on a surprising run. Not really a run, but a surprising little start in the SEC tournament. Being the 15th seed, you don't expect much, but they shocked the world and took down number 10 seed Texas A&M, 50-49. to go on and take on Ole Miss today, who is the number 7 seed overall. And they did get beat 73-57, which I believe brings their overall record to 15-17. Obviously not making the tournament with that, the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's much chance, based off some of the way some of their articles are written, that there's going to be any other postseason opportunities at this point, but we'll see. But it's a first season essentially in the books at this point for Coach Larry Vickers, and we'll talk a little bit about that on the Auburn Experience show in more detail about assessing the first year of Coach Larry Vickers. And hope the ladies had a fun season, and there were some high moments even during some of the struggles this year. Almost done now. Let's go, at least with the new stuff. Men's golf, they had another competition. They came in second at the, I got the whole long name here that I've got to go off of. They give some really long names. The Southern Highlands Collegiate played out in Las Vegas. They came in second overall, and apparently they called it a photo finish on the way they described it. Jackson Coyven came in third overall. Jake Albert right behind him in fourth individually. So they kind of powered to that opportunity for Auburn. They were competing with Virginia, who they've competed with before, and I believe they're the ones that ended up winning that tournament. No, they didn't double dribble. Can't really dribble in golf, but they found a way to double tap or something like that. I don't know. That's usually how it goes. Because of his performance in that and previous weeks, Jake Albert got SEC Freshman of the Week. So another one for him. That's third time in 4 weeks for him. Hey, Jackson Coyven's doing big things, but Jake Albert is doing a lot as well. Women's golf in the Darius Rucker Invitational. They play in this thing a lot. They finished in 5th over there. So congrats to them for a top 5 finish in that very recognizable event. And that brings us to all the sports stuff. And I'll bring up one other thing in the university space. And more of this is just about things that may happen. There was news this week that the Pentagon will be looking to Auburn University as a potential new partner institution for military education programs. I think it's a bit vague what this means right now, but obviously you got to think and please leave your politics out of this, but the connection with Tommy Tuberville being up there in Auburn is helping in that regard. Anytime Auburn can be help assisting in the country and business and whatever, I love that. I think it's an opportunity for Auburn to continue to build its brand on the bigger stage, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. Just something for you to be aware of that was discussed this week. Finally, that's all the news. That brings us to your weekend calendar. Let's get you ready for that. Here's what you have to look forward to. Friday the 6th, Saturday the 7th, and Sunday the 8th. We'll start on Friday the 6th. Men's tennis. This is all at home, by the way. It's a busy weekend if you're in Auburn. Men's tennis versus Charlotte. Softball will begin their series with Kentucky, first SEC series, and baseball will finish their at least series play in non-conference with Winthrop playing their first game Friday.